Legalism comes through. When legalism doesn't work, then you find the loophole. And when the loophole's not enough, then you go, well, whatever.
And welcome to One More Thing this morning with Dr. Bauckham again.
Good morning.
Hey, so we this ISM series is something else, man. It is something else. And then when you mix it with just the unique community we have here, we're out in the foyer afterwards, shaking hands, hugging people, and we're like, "How's it going?" Whatever. Like,
Yep. Yeah, they know how to play the game.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see. I really liked this sermon because it captures this universality of a condition we all at some point have or will suffer with. And that is just not caring about things that we should be deeply passionate about, and the reason we say we should be passionate about it is because it lends itself towards transformational, life change in us in connection with God. So when you thought of this series, particularly the whateverism,
All right.
what have you experienced in church? Like, what are some things people have that whateverism attitude about God sometimes that you've seen?
Well, I think that people have whatever. It's about, this is what I think, and if you disagree with me, whatever. So they really don't want to argue too much.
Yeah.
But they want to be very specific about, and it's legalism. Legalism comes through. When legalism doesn't work, then you find the loophole. And when the loophole's not enough, then you go, well, whatever.
That's right.
It's kind of a natural progression. So
right.
they all kind of fit together in some measure. But whatever, Paul says, whatever was profit to me, I consider it all rubbish. Whatever. Whatever you think the good things are, the reality is the values are the more important things. Whatever your beliefs, and we talk about this, people can have a variety of beliefs, but their values is where you need to stand firm on being kind, and not judgmental, and caring, and honest, and humble, and those kind of things. And those are values that we need to drill down and not just let slip through our fingers. But as far as whether you believe in, one of the 6 or 7 atonement theories, or the 5 fundamentals of Christianity that have been produced in the early 1900s, and you can say, well, whatever, you can see those in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
But how does it affect my conduct?
That's right.
And my heart, and the way I treat others. I think that those are more important.
I think you're right. I think, even just talking about some of the emails, text messages you and I receive sometime because of our teaching, it's as though like people have like a whateveristic view of this life.
Right.
Like, oh, heaven. I'm like, man, don't wait to do good. When you get to heaven, do it now. Be kind, be compassionate, be generous. It's not just about the super spirituality, the Jesus talk, the religious talk, and that proves how holy I am. I have a whateverism towards that.
Right.
What I'm more passionate about is these deeply authentic encounters and connections with God in those moments where you recognize. And this is one of the things I wanted to ask you that I'm personally struggling with the whateverism. It seems as though, like when I read the scriptures, when we talk about being kind and forgiveness is huge in the teachings of Jesus, it seems as though when God tells us, he says, Larry, just forgive and you'll be forgiven. But yet we put all these parameters that the only way God can forgive us is through like sacrifice or with the blood atonement or whatever, when in fact he just tells us, forgive. So what is it like when I know when I see someone who has like a repentant heart, when they've done me wrong, they've said something wrong and they recognize their mistake, I don't say, oh, it's not enough. It's as though there's something missing. Like when I see someone who I know is truly repentant, I just forgive. And I think God sees that within us. And God doesn't have this whatever, go do the blood atonement, whatever, go prepare the necessary sacrifice, say the necessary prayers. Like, why do we still wrestle with this concept that somehow God is not aligned to the same rules he's given for us?
Well, let me back up. And I think that to forgive someone is not about the action. It's about your heart. And it's not about my heart forgiving you because of this action. It's about my heart forgiving everyone for every action before they've ever committed the actions. So it's about having a forgiving spirit. So it's not something I do that's every day. That's incidents, but it's part of my makeup. So it's like being generous. I don't want to be generous like saying, okay, write a big check here.
Right.
And then there's a generosity of spirit all the time.
Yes.
And I think it's more fluid than just
like
forgiving one time. And I think that's true with forgiveness, and I think it's true with generosity. I think it's also true with prayer. It's not about praying. It's about being in connection with God and realizing the flow that's within me all the time. And it's the forgiving flow. It's the generous flow.
That's it.
It's the prayer connection with God. So it's not about incidents.
Yeah.
It's about a lifestyle.
That's right on.
And I think you can have that lifestyle, but it doesn't come because you snap your fingers. Sometimes it takes years to develop. Sometimes it takes moments to begin,
Yep.
years to develop, but it's part of who we are. And sometimes we can get derailed. And we have to come back around and go, okay, whoops.
Yeah.
I got caught in that.
That's really awesome.
I just need to get back to my best self.
Blowing my mind, man.
So,
Because I get chills thinking about it. Like, I remember Allen Iverson, the basketball player, when they were asking him about, you didn't show up to practice yesterday. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just practice, man. But yet that's an essential part. So to live into that flow that you're talking about requires practice and participation. And the more we do it, the better we get at it, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
I get better at forgiving.
yeah.
And I'm in the flow of forgiveness. I get better at being gracious. Now I live in that flow. In sports, we call it you're in the zone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, man, that blows my mind thinking about it, that it's not
It's not an incident.
It's not an incident.
It's an attitude.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's a lifestyle. And I like to think I have it. Now, you could be a very forgiving person, have the forgiving spirit, and somebody, slam on the brakes in front of you or flip you off, and all of a sudden you're not very forgiving in that moment. But I think in a moment or two, I think it catches up and say, look, this is not who we are.
Yeah.
This is not who I am. Let's get back in the flow.
That's right.
And I think you can get back in the flow.
And maybe that's where that moment is of like my awareness, like, man, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have flipped that guy off or whatever.
I think that's true. But I think it's true with forgiveness and generosity, and also the spirit of prayer. I think and there are probably other things we could put in that same category, but I think the word flow or in the zone.
Yeah.
I'm in the zone. What does that mean? That's just God is in me, and I'm aware. My eyes are open to His presence daily, and there are moments I can get kicked out, but I want to come right back in the flow.
Yeah.
So maybe be great to come up with the image of whitewater rafting. You're going down the flow and then you hit a rock, and maybe you're in the raft and then you're in the water.
That's right.
But there's something about being in that process to where there's bumps along the way.
Yeah.
And that's just being honest about the whole thing. But I think that at the end of the day, we need to do that which keeps us in the flow. And sometimes it takes, too judgmental there.
Yeah.
I need to soften my approach. I just think softer is better.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that email or that text message that's a little negative, and you just go, "Oh man, you just want to, it's just stupid,
Something rises up.
But then something you go, "Hey, look, he's damaged, he's hurting, and I need to not support that damage or hurt. What can I do to help with the healing?"
That's right.
And I think I was reading something this week with Richard Rohr about the early monastic followers in the East, the desert fathers and desert mothers out of the Eastern Church, and how they were in the flow of life. And life, in the desert, it's not about being isolated, but it's about being connected. And it's not about the incidents. It's about where's the trajectory? And am I in the flow of heading that way? Am I perfect? No, but I'm in the flow. And in that flow, using the whitewater raft, maybe as I'm in the water, not even in the raft, the stones that go down the edges are being smoothed out, and we get tumbled down the way. But it's okay. At the end of the day, I want those edges. And through my lifetime, I think my sharp edges have been sanded off quite a bit.
That's good.
They've been by the Spirit of Christ and the love of God in my life, and I think I'm better for it. Has it always been easy? No. I'm the kind of guy that jumps on things.
Yeah.
I like to, I jump in the water.
Yeah.
My wife said, "Are you going to jump in the water again?" Well, I didn't get quite smoothed out enough before, so I banged my head a few times. But honestly, forgiveness, love, graciousness, connection with God. As I've gotten older, I'm more connected.
That's awesome.
And
there seems to be that sort of flow here at Suncoast, because even just yesterday, there were 3 or 4 people came up to me, and one lady in particular her son just recently committed suicide within the last year. And she's like, "I've been coming now for the past month, and it seems as though I didn't know you guys from Adam, but yet every sermon has connected with me in where I am in my life." And she kind of was like, "I don't know, I don't understand it. I can't explain it." I said, "You don't have to. Like, that's part of that flow. It's not like we're sitting around taking, some sort of census of where our community is.
Right.
We're trusting that God's Spirit is leading us where we need to be to talk about." And that's the last question I have, because I think it's an important one. The last point we made together was this idea of whateverism dilutes my passion. Like, what do you mean by that? Why is passion and my spiritual development so interconnected?
Yeah, I think that it's a very good question. I think that our passion it goes back then to my values. So, when I was evangelical, my passion was the world is lost. I got to get them saved. And there's a passion about that.
Yeah.
And therefore you send missionaries to other countries because they're all heathens, and you got to get the world saved.
That's right.
And now, without believing that, now I don't believe in eternal damnation. I don't really believe in the concept of you got to say the 4 steps and get to where you're saved. So what is it? Where's the passion? The passion is, for me, is helping people realize that God is in them, that He loves them, that they're not alone. The passion is opening the eyes to this truth that's not new. It's very ancient.
That's right.
But helping people find the flow of God in their life. When they do that, their lives are transformed.
Yes.
I mean, the other stuff is like a game. I mean, I'm in, but I can live however I want.
Yeah.
But it's this Spirit of Christ that shapes us and molds us into Christ-like living. And we begin to have the attributes of God become ours because we're in the flow. And it's more than us, but it is still us.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my passion is. Just, helping people do the best they can with what they know. But some of them need to know more.
Yeah.
And my passion is so that you can know more.
That's right.
So that you can be more. So that the damage of the religion of my childhood does not damage people today.
That's right.
And I think that's, I get passionate about that.
Yeah, I could tell. That's awesome, man.
So.
And that's why it's a privilege to be here, to see people walk into that truth. Because for me, my faithfulness to God equals freedom in my life. And I'm not talking about financial freedom or anything like that. I'm talking about freedom to become more and more of that, like you said, that Christ-like living. Because, man, everything I see from that, all of the fruit from that lifestyle is what changes the world,
Right.
I think. So.
I think so.
Awesome.
And I think where we are, we're part of a community that is beginning to change the world. And I get passionate about that, and I get excited about it. I know you do too, because we're in it together. And let me pause before we go. Thanks for everything, Troy.
Oh,
I mean,
appreciate you.
I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you. It's hard to find the right personality mix, kindred spirit to do this together, and we're doing it together, and we're making a big difference. And I just want to say publicly, thank you.
It's awesome to be here. Appreciate you, Dr. Bacham.
Thank you.